Yeah, that's what
Otherwise
those.
I can't.
Right.
It could be on my page.
Yeah.
Call to order the regular meeting of Tonganoxie USD 464 for Monday, February 9th, 2026. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I would move that we approve the agenda with one change, that we table action item 5.3 to a later date. Is there a second?
A second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, presentation 1.4, Mr. Loomis.
I am joined tonight, Archie Smith's here from Universal Construction and Cynthia Wiederholtz here from Esky and Associates, so just to kind of bring you guys up to speed. I'm gonna share a little bit here, just as far as the budget piece of our elementary HVAC upgrade project goes. Turn it over to Archie for a little bit to just talk scheduling and some of that process, and then like I said, we'll be here as a team to kind of answer any questions that come up in regards to this project and the things that we have to get going, hopefully, on it. So we shared in the board docs a document similar to this, and I guess, for lack of a better term, the number we're looking at here is on this bottom right, this 5.987 million, 562,079 cents. That is the estimated total cost of the project post bidding. That number carries the GMP from Universal Construction, which is this number you're going to see up here. So as we go through the bidding process, this 5.2 million is how the bidding came in for this project. If you guys will allow me to take a step back, we're using Universal Construction for our CMAR on this project. So they basically built the construction piece of this project, identified what needed to be done for the project, built bid packages based on our needs for the project, and then we sent out bid packages to qualified contractors to complete that work. In that bidding process, we got 3 to 4 bids on almost every trade that is in this project, whether that be electrical, whether that be the HVAC side of things, flooring, paint, down to every last detail of that. And that's the number they came back with. And then what you'll see below that is just what we refer to as the soft cost in that email. So the design fee from HTK, that's their total fee there. And then obviously just other costs associated with special inspections, moving, owner contingency, and that number down there is a 1% of the project is our contingency. So not necessarily guaranteed to be spent, but giving ourselves a 1% coverage should something come up for the project. So as mentioned, this number at the bottom is kind of what we're looking for approval on tonight. This number here is the one we were waiting on to firm up, and I believe the language will allow us to just move forward with this project. As a number, really should not exceed that 5.98 million number you're looking there at the bottom. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Archie for a minute just to kind of talk through schedule and how things are going on their end and what he anticipates happening. So
thanks, Mitch. Great to be back here this evening. So I think Mitch covered very well the process as it relates to how we put the project out for bids that we got back. Both myself and Cynthia reviewed all of the bids that we received from the bid contractors that looked like they were the apparent lows, to review scope and detail with them, to make sure that what we asked them to bid was actually what they understood the bid was required, so that when we made a recommendation tonight, they were fully vetted bids. Not only do they have the scope right, but did they understand the schedule? Do they have the means and the methods to be able to meet our schedule for the project? So within the numbers that you see before you, that's also including confirmation from the contractors that they've got the manpower available and the ability to get materials here on time to meet the schedule constraints for the project. Once we receive approval for the GMP, kind of what the next steps look like is we will be immediately getting notice of proceeds out to contractors so that they can start securing materials for your project. We do have some long lead items like HVAC equipment, lighting fixtures, also steel procurement for some of the reinforcing that goes into the project, which will all take some time to get. So the sooner we're able to get that out, just puts us in a better position to be able to deliver the project on schedule as promised. We also have a key milestone. Number of the contractors will be coming out over spring break while students are away so that they can get above ceiling now that they know they're doing the work, and pre-measuring for like duct work and some other things that they can prefabricate before summer gets here, so that once school's out and we're able to vacate the spaces, they can more quickly put the work in place. All of the contractors, again, feel comfortable with the schedule. We did in the GMP, just because we added, if you remember, when we were first talking about the project, we weren't doing the lighting replacement portion of it because we weren't sure that could be afforded. That is included in the GMP, and with that additional work, that is putting a little more stress on the electrical contractor, so we do have some contingency in there to work them some overtime to make sure that we're still meeting your schedule. So our plan is we're going to work them overtime on the front side of the summer, probably work them 10-hour days and work them some Saturdays, just to make sure we're far enough out in front of the schedule so that we don't end up with the surprise when you guys are ready to come back for school. So that's a little bit about where we are and where we're headed, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have either about the cost or the schedule as we move forward.
Couple of quick questions. So,
Sure.
As I look at the DD column and the CD column, you know, it looks to me like some of them changed markedly, but my assumption was some of the numbers in that DD phase were kind of placeholders that were placed in other rows more specifically. Is that a reasonable assumption?
It is like a good example. When we were at DD, the design team hadn't done their full research on the space, so they had not shared with us information like fire sprinkler lines that were going to need to be relocated amongst or above the ceiling in a number of areas. So at DD, we weren't carrying specific money for fire suppression work, but when we got more information from the design team, we included money for fire suppression work. But at DD, we know that the design's not complete, so we were carrying a design contingency down at the bottom for the things that they hadn't detailed out yet. So that's one example of where you saw some money come in at CD that you didn't see at DD. There were also circumstances where maybe we were assuming more work was going to take place than what actually ended up taking place once the final design documents were done. So you do see some peaks and valleys between DD and CD, and that's just kind of a normal, I guess, part of the process.
And then in terms of your schedule, how's it shaping up in terms of, you know, what's the completion date? How much slack do you have for any unknowns? I assume your confidence is equal to what it was when we last met in terms of that
Sure.
the schedule was doable.
It is, because we actually, in addition to just getting cost feedback from vendors, we asked all of the contractors to provide us with like working durations for all of their activities in like each area or each pod of the elementary school. So while we were projecting when we interviewed what we thought was reasonable, we got that backed up by contractors by getting actual working durations from each one and then plugging that into a master schedule to confirm that what we thought could be done was also the capacity that the bidders had for the project. We did have, just a side note, we had an electrician that bid on the project who their durations did not meet or did not project to allow us to get the project done in time. So that bid was then disqualified from consideration because we need to make sure that every trade that's on board has bought into the schedule and has the resources to be able to get the work done.
And what are you currently forecasting for a completion date?
So right now we are forecasting a completion date of 8/7 for the last pod. But if you remember from our interview, and this is still going to be the case for our current construction plan, is we will be finishing this floor at a time, pod at a time. So area A, first level, area A, lower level, area D, first level, area D, lower level. So the very last area, which is projected to be, I believe it's area D, lower level, it will be completing on 8/7, but that will be the last pod completed. So all of the other pods will be completed incrementally, like a week or so in advance of that, so that you've got time to move into those classrooms. And it's just kind of that last pod will be just kind of right down to the wire, but we knew it was a lot of work, and that doesn't surprise us.
Other questions? What questions should we be asking you?
I don't know. I thought those were good questions. What else? I don't know, Justin. I mean, I think the schedule is obviously going to be tough. We don't foresee significant unforeseen conditions. That's always the worry. But we know the building pretty well. I mean, we built the original, so we've got a pretty good handle on it. The electrician that's coming back to do the work is the electrician that did the work on the first project, so they're going to be a key member of the team. So it's good to have them involved because they've got institutional knowledge. That's nice.
What about structural work?
The structural work
I know we
is
talked
actually
about-
end up being a little bit less than what we were anticipating at, I guess, at interview time. So we got the final design from structural, and the structural work is, I think it's going to be a thing, but it's nothing that concerns us. If anything concerns me, and this is a minor concern, it's just adding the additional lighting work to it, is just making sure we can squeeze that in. The HVAC guys feel 100% comfortable, and so do we, about their capacity to get it done. They put more resources and manpower available to the project than what we were expecting, so I'm not concerned about that aspect of it. Honestly, I feel pretty good about the contractor feedback and the group of subs that we've got.
I guess I do have one question.
Yeah.
Let's assume that the timeline can't be met and we find that out midsummer. What's the disruption to lower pod D, or whatever those last ones are, and how do we work around that?
I was thinking about this on the way out here. I certainly don't anticipate this being the case. If there was something that was going to be a challenge, it might be changing the light fixtures out. Worst case scenario, absolute plan B would be drop the existing light fixtures back into the new grid that we have without actually changing them out to the LED light fixtures. And then we're going to be here next summer anyway. You would still have the same lighting that you've got in the room, and just change the light fixtures out next year. That would be absolutely worst case scenario fallback position, but it's something that I don't think anyone is going to notice, because you're going to have the same lighting level in the classroom that you have right now.
And given that these pods are rinse and repeat, I
Yeah.
would assume that by the end of pod 2, we're going to have a pretty good sense of.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think we'll have a really good handle even after spring break, because we're going to be getting folks in there. We do have, I guess one thing that I failed to mention is we will need to come up with a temporary. I say temporary. We will need to repipe the existing HVAC system in Area D to make sure that next summer's HVAC classrooms that we're not doing the upgrades on, that they're still functional for a full school year until we do that work next year. They are 95% certain they know exactly how that's going to go. They are going to vet that other 5% over spring break. But we've carried some money in the GMP to make sure that we've got a good working solution for, I guess I'll call it Area D Phase 2 for the end of summer. So that is one kind of unknown that's out there, but I feel like we've adequately budgeted for that contingency.
I think the only comment I'd make, so Mitch and Rebecca and Lauren and I have met a couple of times talking about the kind of the longer term out year capital budget and plan, and certainly feel pretty comfortable that the dollars are there. It does get a little tight in a couple spots in some out years, but again, I think this is a tremendously high priority and one that we've identified as a board. So I feel comfortable with the capital budget to support it. So
I will add, Justin, I know that they've got it on the screen up there, the lighting replacement. You're probably saving about half of that cost by doing the lighting replacement now versus doing it as a standalone project separate from this. The fact that we're tying up light fixtures because we're replacing ceilings and we need to do that for the HVAC. So even though your budget may be tight, I mean, you guys are really saving the taxpayers in the district, probably $300,000 by just doing that lighting work now versus a separate project. So just wanted to make sure you were aware of that savings.
other questions? All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mitch. All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Any patron comments? No. Mrs. Phillips.
All right. My report is pretty short. We've had a lot of things going on this month. Calendar committee met and we put together 2 draft calendars and sent out a survey to staff members, and the draft is there in my Tanya's topics, but it's also an action item later on. The survey that we sent out, I put the results in my Tanya's topics, but the survey was actually open for a few more hours. So I want to update those results just to make sure you have the correct information. Instead of 149 responses, we had 168 responses. The percentages were basically the same. 87.5% or 147 staff members preferred draft B, and 12.5% or 21 staff members preferred draft A. So I just wanted to update you with those official numbers. Also, we are moving forward with our movement to Skyward Cumulative. We are extremely busy with that right now. The training schedule is very tight. We have to complete certain tasks at a certain time just to make sure that we are on deadline and ready for our go live date of July 29th. There's really not much wiggle room in our processes and where we are. And so we're very busy right now. We have another meeting with them tomorrow afternoon just to get an update and to set a few dates. There are certain milestones that you reach along the way, and then you have to have a meeting with them and just to touch base and make sure you're where you're supposed to be. So we've got a couple more dates to set and we'll move forward. I also attended, under professional development, I attended the 3rd Thrive session that was in Emporia. We had some really good topics this time. We talked about CAPERS basics, retirement planning solutions, licensure updates, retention, negotiations, end of employment, and using AI. A lot of really good things that are, things that we're working on right now in HR. So very good topics, and that was the rest of that report. Also, I included in my report the TBL SEC first semester update. That's our special education cooperative. So there's a little bit from first quarter and second quarter. There's some really good information in there that Mr. Cullinan has provided. Everything that talks about staff, statistics, communication and engagement, professional development, how they are moving forward fiscally and moving into the second semester. I don't know if you have any questions about that. Probably specific questions would be better sent to Chris Cullinan, but I can certainly communicate any questions you may have with him and get back to you with the answers.
Why don't we see if we could get him to do another board presentation maybe in March or April or May, whenever his calendar would allow it. Do you mind?
Sure.
Any questions for Tanya? Thank you. All right, getting into the action items. Action item 5.1, approval of additional warrant list items. I would move that we approve action item 5.1 as presented. Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, approval of proposed 26-27 school calendar. I know it's here and it's in board docs. It was in Tanya's presentation. I know Linda was involved in that, but any other discussion around the calendar? I know that there were a couple of options, and draft B was the recommendation. Any commentary there, Tanya?
Now, listening to the presentation on the HVAC at TES, that makes me a little nervous because we'd be starting school a couple days later after the 7th. So a little nervous about that, but I think we can work together to come up with some solutions. If we have to, move it a day or so, we can make that work. So we'll just want to communicate early and often with our parents if we encounter a change in our calendar.
Okay. Linda, anything to add? I know you were on the calendar committee. Not to put you on the spot, but
It was pretty easy this year. They liked the calendar last year. Everyone was happy with that, and we kind of stuck pretty close to that, and it went well. So
I know the committee is super appreciative of Linda's participation, and they really enjoy her, attending and her responsiveness and answering questions and just being a part of the whole process.
thank you.
thank you, Linda. All right, is there a motion to approve action item 5.2, approval of proposed 26-27 school calendar?
I make a motion to approve action item 5.2, approval of the school calendar.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We tabled action item 5.3. Action item 5.4, approval of TES HVAC GMP. Know we had a presentation on that moments ago, but certainly if there's any other questions, we've got all the folks here to help answer them. Are there any questions? Okay, I would move that we approve the elementary school HVAC project, total dollar amount not to exceed $5,987,582.79, of which $5,225,980 is Universal Construction's guaranteed maximum price bid. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, guys. All right. Action item 5.5 is approval of proclamation of March as Youth Art Month. So I would move that Tonganoxie USD 464 officially recognize March as Youth Art Month. I endorse the observance of Youth Art Month and encourage the support of quality school art programs for youth. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. We will have a need for a couple of executive sessions tonight, so I would move that we adjourn to executive session for a period of 15 minutes, include Mrs. Phillips to discuss non-elected personnel matters. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. We will be back. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order. Have one action item coming out of the first executive session. I move to extend one-year contracts for the 2026-2027 school year to Cody Witt, Kelly Hoops, Josie Eastus, Casey Brown, Hayes Farwell, Matt Bowers, Shannon Harrelson, and Tanya Phillips. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we do have a second executive session. Move that we adjourn to executive session for 25 minutes with the board and outside counsel on the phone from KASB to discuss non-elected personnel matters. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we'll be back. Call the meeting back to order. We do have one action item coming out of that executive session. I move the Board of Education extend Lauren Feldkamp's administrative leave with pay until further notice by the board. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Any board discussion? All right, meeting's adjourned.